This is Ray Gelato, and this is Gelato's Parlour, my series of podcasts. And I just wanted to hear something before we get started, because I've got a very, very special guest on the show today.
Buongiorno, caro Ray.
Buongiorno, this is Mr. Anthony Polledri, the boss of Bar Italia, the boss of Soho.
Well, just part of the Polledri clan, you know.
So how are you today, mate?
Great, I'm having a great day.
You know what, this is a song in the background, which here it is, Bar Italia, which I wrote for you. And I was delighted that you asked me to do it. And, I actually went to Brazil a couple of years ago and somebody asked me to play the song Bar Italia. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's a great song. I think it's a great work of art, because what you do is you manage to capture the cafe as it is, and to mention my name, my father's name Nino, and my brother Luigi. It's just wonderful. I think it's a great work of art, Ray.
Oh, thanks very much. I was so happy to. We'll get on to other stuff in a minute, but I was so happy to write the song, because it's when you do something like that, it's such a challenge to do it. But I've been coming here since the 80s, the early 80s, and that's probably why I understood what the thing needed. It needed an Italian vibe, but a London vibe too. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you. But you and I have been friends for 30 years. And in real terms, we've grown up in Soho together.
We have. That's what I was going to touch upon. Do you remember, right? Because this is an interview. It's on this podcast, most of the episodes are me just rambling on about stuff, music stuff or whatever. But I really enjoy. You're actually my second guest. The first guest was a Spanish sax player. And I really wanted you on, kind of as a prominent guest, because you are a massive part of Soho, and a part of something we'll touch upon in a minute, maybe a shrinking scene, the whole family atmosphere, and not the corporate thing at all. But when that's what I was going to say. When did we first kind of meet? Because we have been friends for so many years, and I can't remember.
I started working Bar Italia in the early 80s. I was 16 years old. I was raw out of school. Didn't do particularly well at school, but always had that ambition to join the family business. And I was lucky enough to meet all my teenage idols that I used to go and see. Suggs in Madness, used to see Adam Ant, used to see Kylie Minogue, and all these great people that I adored as a child used to come in and buy coffee.
That's amazing, because this place is a real institution, and I've met, obviously Suggs here and many people as well. Tony Bennett's been in, isn't
Absolutely,
he?
yeah.
Georgie Fame was in 2 days ago.
Yeah, well, Rupert Everett was in yesterday.
Right.
He's just finished a play. I've had David Bowie in. I've had so many people. We've had, Bar Italia's been used for lots of film shoots. Bar Italia's also been used in other recordings and records. And, we're very lucky that we're 4 generations of the same Polledri family, and we're still enthusiastic about it as running it today as we were. And we've just celebrated 70 years, as you well know, Ray.
Yeah, I know, and I sadly missed it because I was in Italy doing a concert myself, But at 70 years, when you think of it, that this is a family business, right, in an increasingly corporate world, an increasingly corporate London and Soho, and you're talking about all these people coming back, whether you've got the celebrities or the locals or the characters. People don't do that with chain places. They don't do it, and it's so sad when you see the decimation of Soho, and you've got this here as, to me, this and Ronnie Scott's are the last bastions of what this place should be and should continue to be, and I'm very worried it won't be this way in time,
Well, I've seen a massive change. As I said to you, I've been here since the 80s, and the 80s were particularly different. It was like the sex shops were closing and cafes were opening, and I can only just say it in a strange kind of way, it changed from being black and white into colour in the 80s, and it was fun. It was a playground. It was when music was really vibrant and it was happening. It was also, the cafes were opening, and we were going through a massive transition. But I do fear for Soho. I really do fear, because we are only a handful of sole traders and family businesses left. And as you said, there's Ronnie Scott's, there's Camisa, there's the French House. The Groucho Club is still here. There's Maison Berthaud, the Algerian coffee shop. You can actually name them.
You can name them on maybe one hand almost.
Absolutely.
Now. And what's the other one on Lena Stores? Is still there, isn't it?
Yeah, and Lena Stores, yeah.
Italian,
I mean, Cuts have just had a revival, which is brilliant. They were the hairdressers that did Bros, and a lot of film stars and musicians. But, I do employ people to use these places and frequent them, because without you customers, we would be nothing.
Well, I looked at it this way, that we'd be nothing without you guys, because what I love about this place is the whole family atmosphere. As I've said, you come here, you're always here, you work your nuts off, pardon my French, you do. Your dad is still here. Nino, I've known him since, before time almost, and Nino still comes in, and you've got Luigi, and I think people just love that family business, but I'm just amazed at how hard you guys work to keep all this going, and you create such a nice, I'm not just blowing smoke up you, but everybody says it, you create such a nice thing. Like, we've come in with a band after Ronnie Scott's, and you've laid on food for us. You've never taken a penny, and that is so rare now. Now you can't imagine this doesn't happen in the corporate world. It's a reciprocal thing, isn't it? We all help each other.
Well, absolutely, and not trying to blow smoke up yours, but it's people like you that make my day go quickly, and make my day happy. Meeting friends, having a chat, sitting outside while you're having a cigar, but. Coming back to your original point, we are a 24-hour business, so it is particularly difficult. But there is one of the family always here. And you would be very, very hard pushed to come here and not find my brother Luigi, my father Nino, my mum Vera, my sister Veronica. But we do, and Luigi's children. Francesca's with me during the day, and his two boys, Louis and Anthony, are working at night. So we still maintain this family bond. But Soho is a friendly place. There's nowhere like Soho, and I've been doing it for 40 years, coming to the same street. You never get bored of sitting outside. I mean, 2 days ago, I was sitting outside and Kate Moss came in, and we had a photo behind the bar, and it's just lovely. Down to earth, really nice people.
It really is, and it's like I say, you never get bored. I can't work at home. I'm a musician, and I'm always doing my business. I'm always doing my emails and the Dropbox stuff and whatever you have to do now to keep the band going, all the social media. And I do most of it here, don't I?
You do.
I light up a cigar, right, and I do it here. Now, if that wasn't here anymore, I don't know what I'd do. And I live in a nice street in Ealing. It is a family-run street almost as well, Northfields Avenue, but I can't do it there. There's something about Soho that they say with Manhattan, the similar thing with New York, they say you get the energy. You get the energy here still,
Well, if ever I was rich enough to retire, I've always thought, what would I do? One thing I'd really like to do is write a book about my 40 years in Soho. But I'd like to be rich enough to be able to come down and sit outside Bar Italia, meet my friends.
But I ain't rich enough to do it.
Well, neither am I, yeah? And neither am I.
But I'm doing it to get my riches.
But and sit and talk to friends, and that would be how I would spend most of my day.
Well, hopefully we can do that one day, mate. We'll be older. We might be doing a little bit on the side, and we'll, but the concept of retirement for people like us, I think it's almost impossible. One, financially, but it's impossible because I think that, I've seen you for years, and you're a very active human being. You like to do things, and I'm the same thing. But I look at the band in a way, what I run, as a similar thing to you. It's a dying industry, mate. It's a dying. It sounds sad to say, but it's an industry that when our generation don't do it, I can't see the younger people taking up the mantle of this kind of thing. No. My band, I'm trying to run it like a family atmosphere. We're always accessible to the audience, as you are, and your brother and your dad and your mum. And I think that the same thing, that this doesn't mean to be negative, but the scary thing is the world is moving in such a different direction. I wonder do you think we're dinosaurs?
I'm beginning to realise that things in the catering business are moving quicker than I am. And in real terms, at the age of 54, I do feel like a dinosaur in the catering business because things do move so quickly. And you either get it completely right or you get it completely wrong. And Soho is very unforgiving in that way.
Yes.
You see places that open and they'll get it right from the beginning. I mean, there's a place across the road, a Sri Lankan restaurant, they're smashing it. But then you'll get a place, I mean, there was a place up the top of the road, they spent a lot of money to reopen it, Flavour Busters, it just died a death.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same in music, Ray, you get it either very right or you get it very wrong, but you've obviously got it very right because we sit outside here in the summers and when we can, and everybody always comes up to you and shakes your hand and saying you're great and they love your music. You've got a great following.
I guess I have, and I'm fortunate in that, but what I've found is that so many people I started with, Tony, has fallen by the wayside. They're not there anymore. They're out the business. There's only really a handful of people I started with that never made it to the big time. We've stayed under the radar almost. So we've been a cottage industry of building up a smaller thing. And most of those bands that I started with, are not there anymore. Some have died. You know, I know
Yes,
they have.
yeah.
We're not that old, but some
Yeah.
have passed on because they were older than me at the time, and some just ain't there. And I'm just like your thing. That's where I'm trying to draw the parallels. It's just incredible, really, in this sort of world that we're still out here. You know, all of us doing this, and thank God we are. You know,
Correct, but we're very lucky. We're sitting overlooking Ronnie Scott's as we're talking now, and you know, you do see real musicians in Ronnie Scott. That's where you go. I mean, Georgie Fame's over there at the moment.
we saw him come in the other day.
That's right, and he looks great, and he's still playing. But that's raw talent.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's done in a studio that's all mixed up and messed about with. It's raw talent. You're a raw talent, and all those people that go to Ronnie's, they're there, you know, because they're talented.
That's right. They're talented, and they've studied, and they grew up in a time which I was on the cusp end of that time where you could have a training ground and you can learn.
Yeah.
Like in the restaurant business and the catering business, you only learn by doing it. Someone can tell you and it means nothing. You've got to do it and you've got to make those mistakes. And the same with the live music scene that Georgie Fame started in, and I was on the cusp of that. We learnt by playing. We learnt by trial and error. You play to two men and a dog sometimes. you play to a packed audience and you didn't understand how to get them going. So it's just the training ground is the thing that I'm saying now. I think it's sadly gone in a way.
Well, I suppose it's about apprenticeships, and you know, people don't do them anymore and don't learn the game really. But you know, what's nice is that Ronnie Scott's is in safe hands.
Yeah.
Sally Green now and Michael have got it. They've got it up and running really well.
Oh, absolutely.
Unfortunately, I was here the day that Ronnie the day before Ronnie died and passed away. He came in and
tell us about it. That's very interesting because I loved Ronnie. I knew him and I loved him.
Well, I knew Pete King and Ronnie, and I knew all the boys that were there.
You know, if Pete King didn't call you the C word, he didn't like you. Sorry about that.
I've got a dad like that.
Tell us a little about Ronnie, the last recollections of him.
Ronnie used to come in and he was very, very quiet, very pensive. I think he liked to play the horses. And he'd come in and order a cup of tea and just pay for it and walk out. You wouldn't get a conversation out of him. You know, he was very engrossed in what he was thinking. But I was in the restaurant and I was behind the bar. And Ronnie came in and he said, "Can I have a large vodka?" And I thought, wow, that's a bit strange. And he sat down on his own and drank it. And then he said, "Give me another large vodka." And this was in the afternoon. And I thought, God, this is very strange for Ronnie because I only serve him tea. And unfortunately, you know, he had a problem with his mouth and his aubergine. And I think it took its toll on him. And I never saw him after that.
Do you know, that's so sad. It is, because I used to see him obviously at the club, but over here. And the funny thing is, about a week before he died, I was in do you remember a Chinese restaurant in Beaufort Street, King's Road, called The Emperor?
Oh, yes, I do.
Near Ed's Diner.
Yeah.
I was in there for a birthday party. It might have been mine. I can't remember. No, it wasn't mine because it was in December, but it was somebody's. And Ronnie came in with a very, very elegant-looking lady who I believe had left him very soon after. This was a week or so before. And I said, "Hello, Ron." And he said, "Hello, Ray, you all right?" You know the way he used to speak.
Yeah.
I said, how are you, mate? He goes, "I'm all right, it's the world." That's the last thing he ever said.
Is that what he said?
So he was a real part of this, you'd see it. But again, that generation have gone.
Yeah.
All those people that worked over Ronnie's, you know, Monty, Ricky, they're obviously not
Colin,
there, but so many.
Moses.
So many when the old guard of Ronnie's quit. So many died. Monty Pete lasted a year, didn't he? Pete King died a year later. Monty died about a year later.
Yeah, I used to see Monty coming out 6, 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, just like virtually walking out the club, and you know, like you could see how tired he was. I mean, it was different, the club in those days. You know, it was different. It was more spit and sawdust.
It very, very, very much so. They definitely, you know, it definitely got slicker. But I believe, you know, you hear varying things. Oh, it's not like the old days. To me, the old days was what it was then.
Yeah.
And the new people, when Sally came in and different management, and Leo Green did a good job of it as well. Yeah. Remember, Leo took it over, and then Simon took it over, and you know, with the management, and all these people did a good job of it. You know, they contemporised it a little bit, and maybe there's nothing wrong with that. You know, they still. I mean, bless them, the club's still going. You know.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky enough to see Buddy Rich play, and that's going back a few years. Yeah,
mate, I didn't see him.
I did. I saw Buddy Rich play, and then you can go from you know, the 80s when I saw Buddy Rich play, right up to Prince and George Benson have played over there.
I know, and you saw Arturo Sandoval as well, the fantastic
wonderful.
Cuban trumpet player.
Yeah.
No, I used to see a lot of people over. I didn't see Buddy, but I saw, let me think, George Coleman. I saw Tony Bennett over there do a little. I opened up for him. He did a benefit concert. And I'm standing downstairs by the toilets with him, you know, with Tony Bennett. I says, "Hello, Mr. Bennett. Hey, hello. You know, you look great."
Yeah.
It didn't change, but
you know, my dad will take you back to Gerrard Street with Ronnie's, you know,
Yeah.
and the musicians that were all looking for work. But you know, coming back to Soho, you know, we're very lucky that we're in amongst all of this.
We are.
You know, it's a little village. It still is. It has its village qualities, and Ray, you know, I've been lucky enough to see Italy win the World Cup twice in Bar Italia and join in the festivities with thousands of Italian screaming fans. And, you know, it made the front cover of the Evening Standard. There was 5,000 fans, and we didn't have any confetti to throw around, so we got all the pasta from the kitchen and threw it all over the crowds outside. And we had no pasta.
Uncooked,
yeah. But, you know, and then there again, you know, that was the happy day. The sad day was when Cafe Nero opened across the road from us, and I realised that day that the corporates were moving in, Soho was becoming big business, and people were going to pay big rents.
No, absolutely, mate. I remember when that opened as well. There used to be a clothes shop on the corner there.
Reese, yeah.
I bought a beautiful white, right? Almost white, not a camel, a white overcoat in there.
Yeah.
Like the Untouchables, the sort of mafia overcoat.
Well, but we had the cigar shop for all the hoods that went to buy their cigars.
Yeah.
That used to be on the corner, Coleman and Cohen.
Right.
You know, I go before because Butchers.
Yeah.
E&G, the Australian wine store.
That's amazing. But all the, you know, when you think of it, I mean, this is for another time, because we'll wrap in a minute, because I know you're a busy guy. You've got to get on. You've got better things to do than bullshit with me.
Well, listen, I've always got time for you.
We're going to do another one about the old gangsters of Soho. I'd like to talk to you about that and what your dad's recollection was.
Well, you'll need my dad up here.
Should we get Nino? Would he do it?
He will talk to you all about it.
Do you know?
I mean, this was the famous street where it all kicked off between Jack Spot and Albert Dimes.
Yeah.
You know, and
they smashed each other on the head with weights from the shop on the corner.
Yeah, that's another story.
Oh, mate. Well, look, we're just ending up with a little bit of Bar Italia as well. And God bless you, Tony. You know, you're one of my best mates.
Likewise,
and I just really appreciate your time on this show. And you know what? We're actually getting some listeners in America. I got an email yesterday that said it's getting a little bit, you know, people are starting to listen, so it's brilliant, and they'll love this, because you'll get some people coming as well.
Oh, that'd be great.
Well, we're gonna sign out. I've been talking to my very dear friend, and I call him really one of the kings of Soho, Mr. Anthony Polledri, we're actually from Little Italy, and this is Gelato's Parlour. If you like it, please go on Apple Podcasts and leave a little review, but continue listening. And take care of yourselves, everybody. Say bye, Tom.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci, Roma.